think we could focus on that for now, and the answers will come forward in due course on what happened here.
Mr. Mayor, can I get your reaction to the cooling we're seeing in the housing market, both your general reaction to that and secondly, your reaction in terms of the city's finances, which are so dependent on the land transfer?
Well, first of all, I think the intention of the measures that were taken principally by the provincial government, but we all sort of had a fairly strong consensus when we sat together, the provincial, federal and municipal governments, was that we should try and do, or that there should be done, some things that would try to calm the market, because there was no question it was in sort of a frenzied state some time ago for a variety of reasons, and nobody was entirely sure exactly what those reasons were. And I'm very happy, for example, there now is data coming out. It seems now like it's coming out almost too frequently, whereas before we had none. But having said all that, it seems the number of transactions is down, which could be as a result of these measures or just because the marketplace itself, was reacting to the trends of the last period of time. The prices are off year over year, but not off in the sense that they're continuing even to edge up slightly. And I think with respect to the impact on the city's finances, I will only tell you that up to date at the end of the second quarter to the end of June, we're tens of millions of dollars ahead of where we projected to be, even with a reasonably we made a projection based on last year's revenue, so I think we were doing fine. We were ahead of where we were, and that I would think if the number of transactions is down but the price continues to come up a bit, that I would think the impact won't necessarily be that material, but I can't really speculate on that. And of course, as you know, closings of deals that take place now might happen quite a few months out, so I have no reason to be concerned about the city's finances, and actually based on results up to date to the end of June, the city's finances are very healthy.
No contingencies for in-year cuts or things like that?
Well, again, if I come back to the fact that as of June 30th, and these statements are before City Council for their approval today or at this meeting, the finances of the city are very healthy. The city continues to be well managed, and in fact, based on all of the revenues, including land transfer tax revenues, the city is running ahead of its projections for revenue. So, we'll keep an eye on these things, as you would anyway. I keep an eye on these things every single month and every day because it's my job. And I, at this stage of the game, don't want to say that you don't ever get concerned about anything, but at the same time, there's no reason for us to take any, actions out of the ordinary at this point in time.
On that same subject, Mr. Mayor, the prices are actually down month over month from April, about $130,000. So, I mean, what would you tell buyers who were buying in April that now see their houses worth less?
Well, I would say that, whenever you buy a house, whoever you are and whatever city you're in, you're operating in a marketplace. And there are going to be things that happen within that marketplace for a whole variety of reasons, some induced by government policy, some just by worldwide economic circumstances, commodity prices, who knows. And that I would say, I'm sorry for that temporary loss on paper, but that hopefully, the value of the house that you bought will be over the long term, which I believe to be the case in Toronto. I think Toronto property values are going to be solid going forward. You can't look at blips up and down. You have to look at the long term, and I think people who've invested in real estate in Toronto are in an excellent long-term position. This is a growing, dynamic city that is a magnet for people from around the world and investment from around the world. And if anything, our challenge is going to be to keep up with that demand and increase the supply of housing, as opposed to having to explain to people why their real estate investment didn't turn out to be exactly as they expected. I think you cannot look at these things in the short term. You have to look at them as a long term, and I think people should be confident that investing in Toronto is a good investment, especially in your house, which is something that you live in and that you don't view just from an investment standpoint.